Hi everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Bobble Pod. This is episode 27, Generating Business in a Recession. Before I begin, as always, don't forget to like, follow, and subscribers on our podcast channels. And if you're on YouTube, hi YouTube. I don't know how many times I'm going to say hi YouTube, but hi YouTube. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and click on the bell notification to get updated on when our episodes come out. Come out every week on a Tuesday, so be prepared. Very short 15, 20-minute episodes to provide some insightful information, as we will do in this episode. Generating Business in a Recession. And I am proud to say we are rejoined by James McCann, our Head of Business Development.
It's great to be back.
We had a really good, interesting talk for our previous episode that was out the week before. But this one, we want to really hone down and help businesses understand what they can do right now. Generating business in a potential recession and what we call a challenging economic environment is very difficult, more so for us.
Yeah.
We're facing our challenges as a business. We're not immune to being impacted that way. But it's how you see that environment and the conversations you're having with businesses. So, James, you're having businesses. You're having conversations with businesses, if I can get my words out. What kind of conversations are you having right now, considering that we've had 3 prime ministers? We all know my thoughts on the previous prime minister, Liz Truss, so I'm just going to leave it at that, who caused significant chaos in the market. And then obviously there's some form of stability with Rishi Sunak and the 3rd budget we've had announced in that period of time. You're at the forefront talking to businesses, talking to decision-making owners. What's their viewpoint right now? What are you hearing?
It's interesting because kind of, 11, 12, 13 years ago, when we had the impact of the last recession, a lot of people kind of shut up shop. We saw it again during the pandemic as well, kind of 2-3 years ago. Seems like a million years ago now. People just scared to market or scared to get out there. I think now with so much disruption over the past few years, people are actually starting to just focus on themselves. Not so much a blinkered approach, but the comparison I always use, in 2007, Burger King and McDonald's had pretty much the same market share in the world. When the recession came, McDonald's carried on with the marketing, in fact, invested more into it, and Burger King really held back to try and save money. Look where they are now. How many Burger Kings do you see compared to McDonald's? And this is what I'm saying to people, but what they're also saying to me, they said, we just realised that even though things are really tough, we actually just need to start focusing on our products, our services. And at the end of the day, a lot of people are tightening the belts, but food, drink, clothing, products, services, professional help, regardless of your sector, people still need that. And that's why I think people are just cracking on as usual.
Yeah, there certainly are some sectors, business sectors that get impacted more, predominantly e-commerce, especially if you're at the lower end, because we know it's, the tightest pockets have been squeezed of those with the lowest income bracket, which is always unfair. I've given my opinion and voiced it as much as I can on this podcast in terms of what the government should be doing and their competencies. But, businesses are trying to be more savvy. They think it's all about price and offers and discounts, which it can be around seasonality. But ultimately, you have to differentiate yourself in the market. You've got to look at ways how you're going to stand out. But your audience doesn't have the spending power, and that audience is in that demographic, and your e-commerce business targets that demographic, then you're not going to see the same uplift or return on investment as you would do, which obviously can be a concern and impact. Even if you're business to business and you're predominantly dealing with smaller SME businesses, you're naturally going to be impacted. I mean, we've been impacted. We have a number of SME clients that have been impacted, that have either reduced spends, cut back, paused. Unfortunately, one client of ours has gone into liquidation, which is e-commerce. Obviously, I won't mention them for privacy's sake, but we've had one client sell his business off because it was just too much hassle and been absorbed by another business. It can be stressful for a lot of businesses out there. I'll be doing a talk about digital marketing in a recession, which is called Forget Survival, Learn How to Thrive at the Marketing Showcase. It should be available on YouTube by the time you hear this podcast. So do head over to our YouTube channel and have a listen to that talk. because that's what businesses need to do right now. They need to learn to thrive, not just survive. They need to look at different tactics, what's working, what's not working. But what are the main pain points that you feel are coming out from the businesses you're talking to?
Obviously, with belts tightening, a lot of margins are really narrowing as well. Certainly, it's the kind of small business owners I'm speaking to who are suffering the most, because it's not like a huge company which has a massive, multi-million pound marketing budget. These people, if they're going to invest in marketing or anything else, it's coming directly out of their pocket. And some of them are thinking, well, do I market, or actually do I keep some money inside in case the business doesn't work out, or in case I need to buy something else? So what I'm saying to people really is just focus on your USPs. Okay, yes, you sell a product or service, but what about that product or service makes you unique? Because people, the market, people are going to be competing for all this space now, and it's going to be kind of dog eat dog. You need to ensure that your product stands out. And I say to people, you can either be first, you can be better, or you can be different. Those are the three things you can do with your business. So I think certainly looking at your USPs, and then also how you market them and where your audience are. You and I are huge advocates of something called the Global Web Index, as we know. It's a piece of software that we use, which is fantastic. And from that, you can actually find out exactly what your target audience are doing, where they're online, which platforms they're using, what those people are searching for. And using as much data as possible, you can then start pivoting and really narrowing your focus in terms of, okay, well, if I only invest in, say, social media or paid social or PPC or just SEO, if I'm only investing in one thing, what's the best way to go about it? And as long as you're quite savvy, then you should be okay.
Yes. There's a lot of pain points, even that I'm hearing it, because I'm having some conversation with businesses, clients, and we get it, we understand it. A lot of the pain points has been, the biggest one for clients have really been the increase in costs, particularly if they have premises, the increase in electric and gas costs, which obviously is substantial, the increase in costs of supplies or materials, having to obviously increase wage in line with inflation where possible. So I'd have to pay staff more. So they've had to either been hit by margins where they've had to try to stay competitive, or they've had to increase their price, which means you're less likely to get customers, because obviously then the customers are impacted by affordability, whether that's B2B or B2C in terms of what they can and can't do. So it has a knock-on effect constantly, because every business then feels it. It's like a ripple effect. Like if one business ups their prices, then that's an increased cost to you. Then you're going to have to, obviously staff might be struggling. So you're going to have to reassess wages to make sure they have a local wage and they're not impacted as well, because happy staff, happy clients, I always say. And then you've got, obviously, so that's an extra increased cost. All while your prices haven't necessarily been increasing, and everybody else wants a good deal from you to keep their costs down. So where is the margin? Where's the profitability before it all goes pop? Essentially. So you got to keep healthy margins and stick to your guns in some instances. What can businesses do then to address those pain points?
I think the main thing is, as I said before, firstly, start looking at your USPs. But then secondly, in fact, another thing as well, which I'll probably just mention, is kind of the really competitive recruitment market too. I think some people are really struggling to find the right people. We're the same as well, when we're looking at roles, can interview, a couple of dozen people sometimes, just trying to find the right ones. So I think within their own businesses, people need to look at, right, who have I got who's great? Who can either take on more responsibility, or how can I get more out of these kind of people? I think you said yourself, happy staff, happy clients, and that's what it is at the end of the day. But it's really important, I think, to be transparent too with employees. If you're struggling a little bit, make it aware. Don't hold it back or anything like that. And then also communicate to them, okay, guys, we might be struggling at the moment. There's a recession, but this is what we're going to do to get out of it. This is what 2023 looks like. Yeah. This is the roadmap. Because not only is that going to breed some confidence, but you're also setting out as well what you're going to do about it. And obviously from that, you can then incorporate your marketing plan and whatever else you're doing. Okay, this is what we're going to spend on. This is how we're going to structure it. These are the areas of the business that we're going to focus on and maybe kind of not neglect. As long as you've got that clear plan, I think that's the main thing, and you're totally transparent about it.
Obviously in our industry, from a marketing perspective, because that's most of the conversations we have, What are the pain points you're hearing from potential clients that we talk to?
A lot of them are finding, I think certainly from either e-commerce or an inquiry perspective, lots of people are still getting traffic and they're still getting inquiries, but it's almost like the abandoned basket. So I think some people, certainly from an e-commerce perspective, but even when people have been having discussions, say it's around professional services or things like that, customers are looking around and shopping around, but I think they maybe just get into the basket and then looking and thinking, maybe I can get this elsewhere for a few quid less. And it's almost like a race to the bottom with prices. But the issue is with that, with the cost of everything else going up, you can't knock your prices down. So it's what can you do to just push people right through to the end of that customer journey and not have them abandon, not have your basket abandonment rates. And also kind of when you're discussing with people, how do I convince them that this is the right product and service for them?
Yeah, there's a lot of tactics that businesses can do with that. If you're a business right now and you've got a high, basket abandonment value or rate, you need to be looking at your internal comms in terms of emails. How are you reaching out? Are you just going out with a standardized message? Are you going out with a custom message? Are you having a look at what kind of products are being done? Is there a point of view where they get to the product, but then the delivery price is too high? So could you offer something on that element? Or give them an incentive to spend more to give them a bit of a basket, a discount. So say, well, actually your basket value was 40 quid, but if you spend 60 quid, we can give you free shipping and delivery. There could be other things you could do, specifically retargeting, which is where you really want to break it down by, if you e-commerce, by, the products and services that they're looking at, have a look at, well, what products is it, and be front of mind. I said, if you then stop your activity completely, there's a famous quote that says, out of sight means out of mind. And that's just as true with new customers, but also more important, your existing customers. It's brand loyalty at this time as well. So when you're trying to generate business in a recession, the first place you should look to generate business from is your existing customers, your loyal customers. They might not be able to buy now, or increase their spend more now, but they might be able to spend in 2-3 months' time. So how are you going to engage and keep in line with them, with what you're doing? You got to inform them. You got to educate them. You got to tell them what you're doing as a business and how you're overcoming these challenges. You got to, communicate with them at their level and understand that, here's how you can be. So if you're like an e-commerce, let's say a retail company for, let's say, furniture, you might want to focus on like top tips that, well, what you can do with your furniture for energy or energy saving furniture ideas, like lights or stuff like that, things you could do. There's a lot of things you can look at, whether you're B2B or B2C, in terms of how you communicate that. But you've got to focus on the message, which is not like it's a cost, but it's an investment. And now's the time for businesses really to invest in their marketing, because statistically, it's shown that businesses that invest in their marketing in a recession come out with more market share and more growth when they exit the recession. And what we know is that this recession is going to last till mid-2024. So it's going to be painful. It's going to hit people's cash flow. It's going to hit their bank accounts. But people will still have money to spend. It's whether they trust you with their money or not. That's what I always find. It's creating that level of trust with your existing customers, potential new customers, that their money is in safe hands. Are they making the right purchase, or they're investing in the right service, because we have, the education to support the fact of what we're doing makes an impact.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that's where things like case studies and testimonials come in perfectly, because if you want somebody to part with their hard-earned cash, they need to know that it's going to be the right investment. The way you go about that is by saying, well, this is what we did for this client. This is what we did for somebody in your sector. This is what we did for someone else. And what we always say, and our clients are more than happy to do that, you can call one of our clients and they will tell you firsthand and give you a testimonial. Okay, yeah, you can trust these guys. Because, people don't want to spend. They don't want to spend, but they just kind of have to. There's almost no choice. So I think the more you can reassure them that you not only you know what you're doing, but it's the right way to go, then you're going to be fine. And we've always said here at Bobble, we're about education. We educate people. That's why we do the podcast. That's why we do the Bobble bite-size events. That's why we go to the marketing showcase. It's not a hard sell. We educate people because we know what we're doing. And then I think if you get that confidence and your customers get that confidence that you know what you're talking about, know what you're doing, it makes it an easier decision for them.
It's why we also do the free strategy. an audit, because that is our opportunity to showcase our skill set. And to show businesses that actually we understand your business, your pain points, your aims and objectives, where you are now and where you want to be. And even though that takes us some time, and that's free, and that's, time consuming for the team, that's non-billable hours, whether that client comes on board or not, they're going to keep us in front of mind, because then we follow up after 5-6 months if we've done an audit and decide not to work with us, and we redo the audit using the same template and send it on to say, actually, we haven't seen any change in 6 months, and this was at the forefront of your mind 6 months ago. Has it dropped off? Is it not as important? Were there any issues? Or, do we need to relook at this? Just to summarize for our listeners, are there any specific quick tips you would give them?
From a marketing perspective, I think, as I mentioned before, firstly, look at USPs. Secondly, understand who your audience is and where they are. Thirdly, utilize your existing customer base who you've got at the moment. Like you mentioned earlier, I think the best people you can sell to are those ones you've already got already. And fourth, just take a shot and be confident. We know since we came out of the pandemic, things do get back to normal. And I think with all the ups and downs with the government and everything else, people have kind of lost sight of a lot of things. Don't lose sight of your business and you focus on where you need to be.
Yeah, we shared some stats with a client that asked us a specific question: how much of their marketing budget? What should there be? Let me rephrase that. What should be their marketing budget in proportion to their yearly revenue? We did some research, found some statistics. That was anything anywhere between 8 to 10% of what your yearly revenue you should be allocating towards a marketing budget. And that's not just all digital. That could be all types of marketing, internal comms, merchandise, etc., exhibitions, offline activities, online activities. That's kind of like the ballpark of where you should be looking to spend. So if you're a SME business turning over, £500,000, you should be looking at spending anywhere between £40,000 and £50,000 on promoting yourselves to continue to grow. Same with if it's £1 million business, you should be looking to spend anything between £80,000 to £100,000, and so on. It varies based on how much budget and stuff you have and what your overheads are, but the recession won't last forever. The night is darkest just before the dawn. I love that quote. And we will come out of this together. And there is opportunities to generate business in a recession. So thank you again, James, for joining us.
It's been a pleasure.
Thank you to everyone for listening. We hope you found that episode very, very helpful. Our next episode is going to be talking about the blue ocean versus the red ocean. So a very interesting talk and insights there. Don't forget to follow, and subscribe. If you're on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe. Click on the bell notification. If you're on our podcast channels, don't forget to follow so you can stay up to date with our latest episodes. If you have any questions on anything we've said or want to learn more, or have a specific query, you can at them at Bobble Digital on our social media platforms, or use the hashtag Mr. Bobble or hashtag AskBobble or hashtag BobblePod. And we look forward to catching up with you on our next episode. Thank you very much.
Cheers.